The theme of this year's Global Forum is the future, and there's no better topic to harness that theme than the discussion we're about to have for the next 30 to 40 minutes. Let me introduce our panelists once more in a little bit more detail so you get a sense of the depth and breadth of experience and expertise we have with us today. To my far right is Ángel Cabrera, president of Georgia Tech.
A lot of supporters.
President Cabrera has the home court advantage here, and he became president of this legendary institution 3 months before the global pandemic kicked off, and guided that institution through the pandemic to emerge stronger than before. Next to President Cabrera is Sarah Friar. She is the CFO of OpenAI. She joined OpenAI earlier this year. She was previously the CEO of Nextdoor, which she took public in 2021, and previously was the CFO of Square, which she helped take public in 2015. So I'm sensing a theme here, and we may ask Sarah about that in a few moments. Fun fact about Sarah, she holds an OBE, Officer of the Order of the British Empire, from Queen Elizabeth II for services to entrepreneurship. Next to Sarah is next to Sarah is Cheryl Guerin, Executive Vice President of Global Brand Strategy and Innovation at Mastercard, which she joined 25 years ago, so talk about brand loyalty, Cheryl. And among many industry accolades, Cheryl has been named among the top 100 women in brand marketing. And directly to my right is Rob Silvers. He is the Undersecretary for Policy at the Department of Homeland Security, where his remit includes counterterrorism, cybersecurity, AI safety, border security and immigration, trade security, and more. So if any of you feel stressed out or too busy, let's try one day in Undersecretary Silver's shoes. All right. I want to dive right into it because we don't have a lot of time. I want to focus on 3 major areas related to AI today. And I want us all to walk away with an understanding of these 3 areas related to AI. The first is opportunity, the commercial opportunity, the societal opportunity that AI presents. The second is education. How do all of us and our employees and our colleagues and our friends and family really understand how to harness AI appropriately and most effectively? And the third is safety. No technology is appropriate without the proper guardrails and the proper safety in place, especially in the 21st century and into the 22nd century. So I want to begin with Sarah. Talk to us a little bit how you size the commercial opportunity and the societal opportunity, for that matter, of artificial intelligence. How large is this opportunity? Give us a sense.
So I would start by saying it's really a societal opportunity. The commercial element will come, but to me, we are building AGI, artificial general intelligence, for the benefit of all of humanity. And we don't think that there is a single person on the planet or sector of the economy that is not about to really feel the power of this wave that's upon us. And AI is now. It's not something that we're talking about in an academic way or in a made-up way. AI is actually happening. There are 300 million people today who are already utilizing ChatGPT. We see over 1 million businesses today utilizing ChatGPT for work. And they span the full gamut, from education sector, ASU, actually, which Ángel has some collaboration or some prior history with. ASU has deployed 281,000 seats of ChatGPT across their entire university. It has implications for government and for national security. It has implications for the finance sector, where we see customers like Klarna, Morgan Stanley, and Mastercard actually, deploying into their enterprise. And they're deploying it for everything you can imagine, for risk management, for revenue growth, for marketing, and so on. So we really view it as probably the biggest platform shift we collectively, and our kids, will live through, akin to something more like the railroads coming or electricity being invented.
if I can just ask before we continue, I think there are a lot of folks waiting to sit down. We can hear you from up here as well. I think the room echoes quite a bit. So if everyone, even if you're waiting in line for food, can just respect the panelists for right now. Thank you so much. President Cabrera, we mentioned education, Sarah mentioned education. It is so critical that the workforces of the future, the next generation, those who are in school understand this opportunity. How do you balance the theory and the practice of AI in an academic setting at a premier institution like Georgia Tech?
So we don't try to balance, we're trying to embrace it and leverage it and use it and integrate it in everything we do. I know everybody's concerned about their job going away and, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen with our jobs? So listen, every single one of our jobs has lots of different components. To me, what's not to like in the fact that you're gonna take all the boring, predictable components that can be automatized, get them out of your daily routine so you can spend your time doing the creative parts of your job that no one can do in your stead. If you're a physician, wouldn't it be a dream if you don't have to spend 20 minutes after every visit entering data into a system, and instead you can spend that time interacting with the patient. If you're an attorney, whatever it is that your job is, wouldn't it be a dream if the most boring, more repetitive pieces of your job can be done automatically by a machine. But if we're going to do that, we need to make sure that the students who are right now in places like Georgia Tech, that they're using those tools right now. So at Georgia Tech, we're embracing it. Like some people are like, would you let AI in the classroom? Of course we are. I mean, there is no other alternative. That is how we're going to be working. So think about applications to college. And the nightmare that we subject you parents and your children to when you have to write those essays.
I'm going through this right now.
You're going through it right now. So here's what happened. And then this is what my colleague in admissions, Rick Clark, one day said, he was like, are we going to allow kids to use AI to write their applications essays? And says, listen, before ChatGPT was made public, if you had money, you already had ChatGPT. And it's like, what do you mean? Yeah, there's a neighbor down the street, will charge you a couple $1,000 and will write the essay for your kids. Guess what? Now you don't need to have $2,000 because you go to ChatGPT and we'll edit your work and we'll help you. So instead of rejecting it, we now have a set of recommendations on our website. Say, by all means, use ChatGPT. This is how you do it.
I love that.
And that is the philosophy we're embracing from the moment you apply. Thank you. By the way, if we said you're not allowed to use it, I mean, who's going to enforce that anyways? But what we do now is, since you apply, when you take classes, of course, professors have to rethink their assignments. They have to rethink their own thing. So we're making sure it's integrated, but also, this is one of the most exciting things we're doing. We have a makerspace that we built with NVIDIA. We built it's basically a sandbox with this actually supercomputer where students get to run their own models, to apply AI to build predictive models in anything that they can imagine. So I'm really gung-ho. I think you'll talk about the scary part of AI with other panelists. From my standpoint, I mean, this is the biggest, most exciting opportunity we've seen in our lifetimes.
Yeah, this makerspace collaboration is fascinating. I mean, access to compute power to run AI models is extremely expensive, limited typically to large tech companies and other large institutions. And so to give 18, 19, 20-year-old students access to that is quite special. Cheryl, Mastercard employs, I think, north of 33,000 people. Tell us how 33,000 people are utilizing AI, both to drive Mastercard's top and bottom line, but also help your customers and merchants everywhere.
Yeah, it's really important when we talk about educating that people are getting hands-on use of AI tools. And so It's embedded in our everyday lives with Copilot, so every employee has access to use it. We look at as well, we have meeting-free days where we bring in training specifically for AI because of the importance it plays. And then there's hands-on applications. So when I look in marketing, how do we train ourselves? We actually get in there and we develop use cases and launch and test and learn. And so in marketing, for instance, everybody's getting hit up with 5,000 or so messages every day, and our attention spans are getting less and less. So how do you break through all the clutter that's out there? Well, we use AI, and we've been for the last 2 years actually tracking micro-trends in social listening, and then we get alerts on the trends and we launch campaigns based upon trends in people's passions that are rising related to sports or culture or culinary, arts, music, and so on. And we're able to launch a campaign in 15 minutes using the tool that we created ourselves, actually. And then it's the actual holy grail of getting the right message to the right person at the right time. And the more personalized you are, and the more you're not disrupting people's lives, but adding value to them, the more likely that your messages are going to stick. So that's just one use case of many that we have going on at MasterCard.
Cheryl, we spent a fascinating hour this afternoon in the Entrepreneur Accelerator talking about marketing and branding best practices and the future of that function. And one of the topics we spent a lot of time on is just driving ROI, especially for the entrepreneurs, sole proprietors, and small business owners that are with us today. They may not have a huge budget or a team for marketing. What would you suggest or recommend utilizing in terms of AI utilization for marketing for a very small business?
This is a good tee up, and I should share with you that we're actually launching tomorrow morning something called Small Business AI. And what we've done is we've created a capability where we've looked at the fact that so many small businesses say, like 9 out of 10 small businesses will say, if I have a mentor, I know I increase my chances for success. Only 25% of small businesses actually have access to a mentor. So the ability to then democratize information, bring together, tools, information, whether you're trying to start a business, ideate around a business, grow your business, learn how to digitize your business, market your business. It's all there, cybersecurity information and how to make sure that you're building your online business safely, is in this tool. And so we've created an easy access at your fingertips. And I think the more we could get information into small businesses' hands, get those task-based out, get the quick information so that they can focus on the strategies and the bigger things that they need to do around their businesses, will see growth. And so this is just one way that I would suggest, and you could try this beta that's going on starting tomorrow.
Very exciting. Undersecretary Silver, as I mentioned, your remit and all the things you're focused on, they all seem extremely important. So, I don't know how you and the department prioritize those. Where does AI safety fit in, and how has that changed over the past 12, 18, 24 months?
It fits in right at the top because, one, it's very important in its own right, and two, the other things we talked about, counterterrorism and the border, there's established architectures that we've developed over years or decades. AI safety and security is a newer field, and it's been really important for us to focus in, not just as a department of the government, but together with industry stakeholders and civil society groups that have an interest in this. But people always expect that I'm going to come out very doom and gloom about all the risks, and there are risks, and they're real, and they have to be addressed head on. But listen, this technology is going to cure cancer. It's going to level up people's economic opportunities. I mean, today, I'm going to give you an example of how we're using it as a customer. There is an epidemic of fentanyl in this country. It is killing tens and tens of thousands of Americans every year, white and black, rural and urban, rich and poor. And it is really easy to conceal. A few grains of it, like a salt shaker's worth, can kill a person. We have started using at the border AI tools. And here's a story that happened recently. A car rolled up at the Tijuana to San Diego border crossing to try to get from Mexico into the US. We had an AI tool up in action. It recognized the car. It recognized an anomaly in some of that car's prior activity that we had observed. And it told in 1.4 seconds, it returned an indicator to our border agent, send that for further look. He sent it to secondary inspection, 50 kilos, okay? So this is that is one micro example. And we are using it, it is going to make the American people safer in that way and 100 others, just in the next couple years. So it is a huge priority for us, and we've established to make sure that it's deployed safely and securely, because you don't want to have accidents, particularly as AI technology is used in coordinate operations for the power grid or air traffic control. You want to make sure that that's done in a safe and secure way. What we've done is we've convened leading stakeholders together with our department to find the right approaches to do that. And in addition to the government representatives, some of our members of that advisory board included Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, people like Satya Nadella and Sundar Pichai, but then critically, we also had civil rights leaders, we had mayors and governors, and we had the corporate end users of AI technology, so that everybody was around the same table saying, what do we all need to do? Because we all have roles and responsibilities here to make sure that we can harness all these incredible benefits and reduce risk. And I think we're doing the right steps when it comes to that.
It seems like this policy kind of area brought in industry pretty early on, maybe earlier on than previous technological revolutions. Was that a learning, do you think, from previous technological innovative eras, that industry stakeholders should be there on day one alongside you crafting policy guidelines?
Very, very much so. And this is one of those areas where government can't do it alone. We don't, a lot of technologies in the past have actually sort of been born out of government, you know, space flight and the internet. AI did not come out of the government, it came out of the private sector. So that's where the technology is. It's being used out in the private sector. And so our approach here has actually been not just to lower barriers for working together between government and industry, but in some cases to dissolve the barriers entirely, to come together on these issues. And so that's been critically important to do that from the very start. It's exactly what we've done, and we've had incredible industry input.
Sarah, you talked about ChatGPT, obviously extremely popular, but make AI real with a few more examples for this audience. Actually, talking about the marketing hour we did earlier today, we talked about video a lot, and video marketing and video creation, not just for creatives, but for all businesses and on use across platforms on the internet. Today, OpenAI announced Sora, its text-to-video tool. Tell us a little bit about that, for example, and tie it to an entrepreneur, for example, in this audience.
Sure. Let me start with Sora, but then I'll go back to something maybe a little bigger for the audience to imagine what the next year or two could look like. But Sora, SORA.com, launched today, and that is text-to-video. I actually was making one before I came downstairs. So I have a standing joke. So I have a teenager applying to college. He's my second, so I will be an empty nester. And my husband keeps joking that he's already left for, you know, the golf course. And so I'm going to be home with my hairless cat because I'm a little allergic to cats, but I'm going to have a hairless cat. So I made a video for them on Sora of me in my sofa with a book and my hairless cat playing at my feet. And I sent it off to them saying, Mom's already in her happy place. So it's a silly example, but I'm not a video creator. I don't know how to use complicated tools like Adobe and so on. You know, I see these people right down in front of me. They're taking photos. They've got their video cameras on. I don't know how to do that. But I absolutely know how to type and speak, and I have an imagination, but I just have never been able to let that fly. So now imagine if I were a small business, and I actually run a nonprofit called Ladies Who Launch, and it's for women starting, running, growing their own businesses. So I spend a lot of time with women right at that first step. And their businesses are usually born out of passion projects, things they have really lived through. But they start a business out of passion, and very soon they're the CEO, the CFO, the CMO, the GC, the operator, they're making the thing, and their passion is gone because they're doing all the routine stuff that Ángel talked about. And so if we can help them get rid of that routine stuff, like just pour into ChatGPT things like, help me write a business strategy. Here's a few lines of what I'm trying to do. Help me create a business plan. How would I go get financing? Give me specific examples. But now, create my marketing materials. So suddenly there's a level playing field with like the great marketers, like a Mastercard, with this up-and-coming creator economy. And we've seen it already somewhat unleashed with the TikTok nation, the Instagram nation, how businesses really learned and created and innovated. But now I think you're gonna see that just on steroids. I did say I'd give you a little taster of where we're going, just broader. So when we think about where we are today, we have lived through the last 2 years. ChatGPT turned 2 last weekend, I think it was. And that was the era of chatbots. That is what ChatGPT is. You talk to it, it responds. Talk to it, responds. We just released, probably about 6 months ago now, O1, which is our reasoning tool. So now you're moving up a stair step into the world of reasoning. And these models can actually work on really hard tasks. And when you ask it a question, you can see it reasoning. And you actually see it go down a train of thought, and it might be in a cul-de-sac, right? Not the right answer. You see it actually go back and start trying different routes to get to the answer. So we are talking about problems that get solved asynchronously. You might ask the model for something, and it might take a minute to respond, 10 minutes, but imagine a world where it takes a day, a week, maybe months. It's like literally having a PhD level intern or consultant working right alongside you, almost for free as well. Reasoning. This gets you into a world of agents. So now start to imagine agentic technology, very fancy name in my mind, for an agent that can go off and do things asynchronously. It might be, hey, I need to fly to Atlanta. I need to be there on Monday morning. Go book me my flight, my hotel. Is there somewhere great I should eat? And who do I know in Atlanta that I should be remembering to ping? But it could be something like, help me create a marketing plan for Europe next year, and it goes off and does it. And then it's going to get to innovation. So you mentioned curing cancer. We already see it starting to be an agent that is innovating and proving theorems that have never been proven before, finding drugs and answers to medical problems that we, as yet as humanity, have not found the answer to. And so that is the path we're on. But I'm not talking about in 50 years. These things are happening today. 2025 will be the year of agents in our mind. And so watch this space.
So some of these applications, like you just said, Sarah, are like an assistant in your...
1 second. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Atlanta. I know you're happy to be here, yes? If you are here, you were invited as a delegate. You couldn't come here on your own. You had to be invited from all around the world to be here. If you're here for 3 days, the delegate pass is worth between $5,000 and $10,000 just to have access. You'll never see this kind of content anywhere else, yes? We're talking about the future of everything. Whatever conversation is going on in the back of the room or in the line, you tell whoever's next to you, shh. The lady that just spoke, yes. Now, mind you, nobody was being disrespectful. I just walked in. To be clear, I'm not saying you're being disrespectful. I'm saying this is priceless.
It's like Mastercard.
The lady you just heard from, who's so humble, who I made an honorary black woman.
It's true. It's true.
Sarah Friar was chief financial officer for Jack Dorsey. It used to be called Twitter. She was at JP Morgan Chase. She was the CEO of Nextdoor. She's now the chief financial officer for OpenAI with Sam Altman, who is the Steve Jobs of this generation. She's a bad sister.
That's a cool title. That's a very cool title.
This is the future of everything. Artificial intelligence is going to change your life by 2030, not 2080, not 2050, in the next 4 years. So please, nobody's being disrespectful. I'm shocked. I should be able to hear a pin drop in here. You're never going to get this kind of content, this kind of insight. And then you can meet them when it's over. You need to tell whoever's next to you, later. Okay, I'm not here. Goodbye.
So, John said it a lot better than I did. Thank you, John. Okay, what Sarah was just saying is many of these applications are like an assistant by your side or in your pocket, or a consultant, or a PhD level consultant, or an agent, a customer service agent, for example. A lot of people have those jobs. So President Cabrera, I want to ask you how you think about the future of work, of the labor market, of certain jobs and roles that maybe, I don't want to put words in all your mouth, maybe displaced, maybe replaced, maybe augmented, maybe changed. How do you think about it? How do you teach your students about the future of jobs?
So if you don't already have a ChatGPT account, you're already late. It's like, go home and get your...
It's free.
It's free. Well, you can also get the $20 version.
You can pay me too, but but it is free.
It's changing everything. Listen, I am learning Italian using Duolingo. Duolingo uses OpenAI technology. So this morning I had a phone conversation with an AI agent called Lily, speaking perfect Italian and having a conversation about whether I prefer to spend my vacations on the beach or the city, and asking me what my hobbies were. That was just me interacting with the machine. So everything we do at a university is being changed by these tools. The way we teach, the dream of a personalized tutor that will adjust the message to you, that will teach you what you need to know. Our students are already uploading PDF presentations when they don't understand what they heard in class. They can upload it into ChatGPT or Copilot, one of these things. They explain it to me, I didn't understand it. And you're not even embarrassed to ask that question because you're interacting with the machine. So in terms of how we do the business of teaching and learning, it is a whole different world. Now, in places like Georgia Tech, we have the added responsibility of actually training the people who will go work for OpenAI, or will go work for a Mastercard, and will build the tools that other people will use. One of the most important things we're doing at Georgia Tech is trying to figure out ways to get to more people. Now, many universities are not interested in growing. They think that being small is just fine. That's not what we're doing at Georgia Tech. We know that this country, this world needs a whole new battalion of people who know how to do this. So we've created an online program in computer science. We created it 10 years ago. Right now is the biggest online masters, actually the biggest masters of any kind in the galaxy. There's no other program of any kind like this. It is about, so we have about 23,000 students doing an online master's at Georgia Tech in computer science, in data analytics, and in cybersecurity. We very soon are going to have more online students than non-online students. We're right now the fastest growing university in the United States, and we are the #1 source of talent in AI in the nation. And I say that, I guess we have good yellow jackets in the room. It's not just, it's a little bit of bragging, let's be honest, but it's not just for bragging. It's like, listen, universities, we need to push up, we need to do better. the world really needs smart people who know how to leverage these tools, and we're way behind. So we're doing our part, but this is more than a bragging message, it's a call to action to my colleagues throughout the country. We need to actually do much, much better job of creating that workforce for the future.
Cheryl, you're, as I mentioned, north of 33,000 employees. You're hiring all the time, constantly. We were talking backstage about the kind of shift in the mix of IQ, EQ, humans in the loop who know and are comfortable and are excited to work with AI. Talk about like the skills of the future and how they have evolved, or not even the future, I mean right now, as you are hiring, how have they evolved because of all technological innovation, but specifically AI as well?
Yeah, I mean, I would first of all echo what you were saying. You know, I'm not quite sure AI will take jobs, but one thing for sure is if you don't know AI, the jobs are going to be taken by people that know and understand and how to apply AI effectively. And so this is going to be a given. Technical acumen, particularly around this technology, it is a requirement. So put that aside. Now I want to talk about some soft skills as well that have become increasingly important. Curiosity, agility, learning agility, ability to learn and pick up and change. You know, in a world where you could say we've had permacrisis, frankly, you know, from one thing to the next, COVID, war, shifts in technologies happening, people have to have a learning agility and an ability to pick up new things, adjust, and have the bravery and the capacity to test and learn their way into new ways of thinking, new strategies, new innovation. So I think some of these softer skills, by the way, being a strong people leader and understanding people, ensuring you're getting people trained and having empathy these days is also important. So humanity combined with technology, these are the skills that we're going to need.
Undersecretary, for those looking to work on these exciting issues from a policy standpoint or in that arena, how have the skills kind of morphed over time?
Well, I actually just want to hook on to one thing that's been discussed and the impact on job displacement and such. First, just over the course of modern technology innovation, the advent of new technologies has tended to create job opportunities net, not disrupt them. The advent of the car certainly crushed the horse and buggy industry, and the advent of the PC certainly had a lot of impact on the typewriter industry. And you need to think about how to take care of the people that are impacted by that. But there's no question that everybody has benefited significantly at a net level. And I think something that's really interesting about AI that is actually different from a lot of tech innovation is the negative impacts of prior technology revolutions have tended to fall hardest on those with the least privilege and advantage. Automation in factories and things like that put people on the factory floor and line out of the job first. If you think about the categories that people most are concerned about of jobs from AI, I mean, it's really like a white collar set of activities that first comes to mind, you know, copywriters, lawyers, accountants, things like that. And I'm actually convinced that this could be a technology revolution. Like, if John Hope Bryant has created anything, it is an organization that is meant to create economic opportunity for everyone. And this may be a technology revolution that levels up opportunity for people that haven't had it. I mean, if you think about a kid who grew up black in Atlanta or white in Appalachia, with brothers and sisters and parents that didn't go to college, but they have something, they might not know how to write a resume. But with generative AI, they can put together a beautiful resume that looks like they've worked at Goldman Sachs. in its format. And that is something that is going to be a godsend for a lot of people. And so there is going to be job displacement, and I don't want to minimize the human impact of that where it happens, but I think like these things tend to end up well for society, and I think that's going to be the case for this too.
So, yeah, so Sarah, on this point of economic opportunity, financial freedom, these opportunities we have with technological revolutions, and this one more so than ever, as Undersecretary Silvers just said, what excites you about what AI can do for economic opportunity and financial freedom for the masses?
Yeah, I think just about everything. What you just described, Secretary Silver, frankly, was me. I grew up in Northern Ireland in the Troubles. Neither of my parents went to college. And I remember the day the Encyclopedia Britannica got delivered to our house, because I was a super curious kid. And all I wanted to do was read. But I didn't come home from school and be able to ask my mom and dad, like, could you read this essay for me? Or I'm stuck with my math homework. There was like nothing. I had great teachers who were always there after school that I could ask questions from. When I applied to college, it was, I don't know how the heck I got in, and it was definitely a kind neighbor who read a lot of my application for me. And the idea that today, literally every kid in the world, not just the United States, but every kid in the world can literally have a tutor in their pocket. That blows my mind. It doesn't just excite me. Beyond that, I feel really excited for things like medicine. You know, I think so much about, you talked about the grunt work of doctors, and it's so true. They spend so much time filling stuff in. My brother is a doctor. But a lot of his life is, he's an ER doctor, so he meets you at the door of the hospital, and he has to, within seconds, triage you. Sometimes it's obvious. You've had a heart attack or a gunshot wound, really terrible things. But sometimes it's really unobvious. And so he's just triaging a bunch of systems, actually, but symptoms, too. Like, is your heart rate up or down? Is your blood pressure low or high? Is your temperature up or down? Do you have a rash? Like, how are you presenting? And he's supposed to have this, unlimited knowledge of all the diseases in the world to know immediately what it could be. And he, of course, does not. And so the idea that we could offer an augmented experience, it'll still need the human, it'll still need the empathy, the moment where you hold someone's hand and say, it's going to be all right. But you also potentially just have this fast-paced way to suddenly diagnose patients. And. I could keep going with tons of stories, but that is where we are. And again, this is now. It's not a year from now, 5 years from now. This is happening right now, which is why I feel so excited about where we are. But it also comes back to both how you all need to be engaging in it, make yourself smarter. You don't have to become, data scientists or anything. This is technology you can interact with verbally, auditorially. You can talk with your fingers, however you want. It's multimodal. It's on you to go back from a moment like now to all the people that you touch, from kids all the way up to older generations. And it's up to you to take that out into the world. And again, this is what gets me excited, because it is like the Encyclopedia Britannica showing up in my house, only now it's a lot smaller, and it actually talks to you. So I am kind of beyond excited, and we're in the midst of 12 days of OpenAI. We're on day 3. Day 1, we launched our new reasoning model. Day 2, we showed fine-tuning, which is something you can do when you're very deep into science, for example. Day 3 today, we launched video, so text to video. And there's still 9 days to come, people. So watch this space, but you're going to get pretty excited.
And Sarah, in the midst of this massive product release, week and a half, Sarah still chose to come and spend time with us. So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
We have about 5 more minutes, and I'm adding a few minutes because John took some of our time earlier. But let's go to Cheryl. So many of the entrepreneurs, business owners in this audience just have to, at the end of the day, think in terms of dollars and cents. That's what gets them through the day, the next week, the next quarter, the next year. Tie, as a massive corporate company and corporation, tie AI's opportunity to dollars and cents for our audience.
Yeah, it comes down to several things. First of all, if I look at, what AI does for fraud and security, right? It's, from our perspective, we use something called decision intelligence, and it uses AI to look at billions of transactions around the world, and it can tell whether that's you, a person that should be using their card, or somebody, or is it fraud? And it does, several things there. That, prevents fraud and billions of dollars, but it also creates an experience for the end consumer, because if you go to a store and you're denied, because they don't think it's you, you may not choose to pick that card again, and that's a problem for loyalty for anyone. It's a problem for small business owners if cards are denied and they're trying to actually pay at the point of sale. So dollars and cents, the ability to use patterns and use this to provide fraud tools is unbelievably valuable in the system. That's one. Productivity. When I think of the productivity that we now have and that you would have, there's something, we launched an insights engine just for Mastercard. And again, when you're using these tools, whether it's GPT, small business AI capability that I talked about, what would have taken days and days to pull and comb through tons of research globally that we have, it pulls it up, it creates PowerPoints immediately for you. It pulls the most important insights. You ask a simple question, you get a simple answer. So the ability to actually save time, which is money, right, is really important. And that's just one simple use case of so many that will ultimately save money. And then again, the ability to have more personalized contacts with insights at your fingertips that enable you to actually do outreach and marketing so quickly. This is ROI, and so it is real money, whether it's productivity, whether it's innovation on your products, whether it's savings, et cetera. It is actually creating real money for everyone.
Undersecretary Silvers, the US is at the forefront of this innovation, but it's not the only country at all. And it's a competitive technological revolution. How do you balance safety, which is your job, with national competitiveness and innovation?
Look, this is one thing where we're just going to have to do both things in parallel. We are going to have to rocket ahead with the innovation as we build architecture of security and safety around it, because we have no choice. The Chinese, there's a race. There is a technology race between the United States and China. The country that comes to be ahead when it comes to AI is going to reap a massive economic windfall, a massive geopolitical influence windfall, and a massive national security and defense windfall, because all the advanced weaponry or a lot of it is going to run on AI technology. And it is absolutely essential that we stay ahead. And forgive me, I spoke to a smaller group today, so for those who have heard this already, forgive me, but I hear from experts on where we are, and the latest estimate I've heard is that we are about 4 months ahead of China when it comes to AI as state of the art. I mean, that's like within the margin of error. And we cannot do anything that gives us the self-inflicted wound of slamming on the brakes. What we have to do is we need to put a lot of resources and attention into safety. And what we've done is we've worked really closely with companies on what are the kinds of best practices there are for quality testing at the front end before you deploy AI technology to make sure it's going to make the kinds of decisions you think and want it to make. What kind of back-end auditing do you have to make sure that the decisions it actually makes once it's deployed are what you want and expect? And there's a range of cybersecurity controls to have around it. There's a range of controls to prevent bias and discrimination or infringement of privacy. And all of those things, the answer is all the above. We just, as a country, have to be the country that can do both, and I think we can be.
President Cabrera, final word to you as the Georgian on the stage. Although, by the way, he is the first native of Spain to lead an American university, which is very cool.
Gracias.
But as the adopted Georgia native on the panel, final word to you. What should all of us leave this room and consider doing to ensure that we're harnessing the future of AI?
Very simple. First thing is go get your account if you don't have it yet. Really do it and just play with it. Just figure it out. But I'll tell you, the other thing is we are in the midst of a new renaissance, even in the field of science. Listen, in addition to teaching amazing students, places like Georgia Tech, our faculty spend a lot of time doing research. That's what they do with most of their time when they're not filling out forms, but that AI is going to take care of that. We try to say, because we have several AI centers within NSF, we're a leader in this field. So we said, should we have a Georgia Tech AI Institute where there's faculty from different parts of the institute can come together to exchange insights? So that's a great idea. Only one problem, I was told. So what's the problem? Every single faculty member at Georgia Tech is using AI in their field of research. So actually that center would be the entirety of Georgia Tech. Astrophysicists are bringing in terabytes of data from this wonderful and expensive telescopes that we now have in outer space. There are people working in new drugs, new treatments, new ways to diagnose and predict what kind of cancer each of us is going to get. Every single one of those is being transformed by science. We used to be trained when you did research into ask a specific question, get the data to answer that question, test that specific question. All that is gone. Now the game is huge amounts of data in allowing AI to find patterns. I'll give you one example. My son, who graduated from Georgia Tech, is doing an AI. He's in a startup in your part of the world. And what they're trying to do is predict whether a molecule is going to make you sick before you inject it in an animal model or in a human being. So you're using AI. Think about what that is going to do to accelerate the development of new drugs. So really stay tuned, but really the speed of acceleration of scientific discovery over the next couple of decades is going to be unlike anything we've ever seen. Very exciting.
Well, the thing about the future, the theme of this year's conference, is it comes for us whether we want it or not, and it comes whether we're ready for it or not. And I hope these four got all of you and us a little bit more ready for the future tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.